Welcome to the leading podcast for long-term weight management. Subscribe to the podcast so that you don't miss an episode. You can connect with Jenny on all social media channels. You can also sign up to the newsletter to receive frequent content and tips for weight loss success.
Hey guys, welcome to the Power Over Food podcast. I am your host, Jenny McDonald, and I am the Food Freedom Fairy, and I'm here to help you heal your relationship with food and, most importantly, your relationship with yourself. If this is the first time you've listened to the Power Over Food podcast, please feel free to go back and listen from number one. There is a wealth of information in there to help you on your journey to food freedom. Now, before I dive in to today's episode, I just wanted to mention, in case you haven't seen it on social media, that I have a VIP retreat day coming up in July, which is like super exciting because it's an in-person event, and I haven't ran an in-person event and actually worked with clients face-to-face as the Food Freedom Fairy for a long time. So this event has come about because I had a few ladies contact me about the Food Freedom Foundation program, my 8-week program, who said, one, I don't really want to do Zoom calls after a long day at work. I'm a bit zoomed out, to be honest. And two, I'm quite time poor. I don't really want to commit to 8 weeks, but how much could you show me, tell me, help me in one day? Could we have a VIP day? So I've already done these for clients just as a one-off individual VIP days with clients, but I thought it would be nice to offer a group day. Now, when I say a group, it is a maximum of 6 ladies, so it's a very small, intimate group. It is set in a beautiful Warwickshire location out in the countryside, and through the day, we will work together to help those attending reconnect with their inner self, let go of self-sabotage and emotional eating, create a personalized food framework, uncover and release ingrained beliefs around weight loss and food, and do some deep manifesting and embodying work around aligning to food freedom and weight loss. So, if that is something that speaks to you, I have 1 place left on Friday the 7th of July and 3 places left on Monday the 24th of July, I believe. And the investment for the day is £165. So it's a complete steal because that also includes a 3-course lunch, tea and coffee and snacks throughout the day, your workbook, and your full day with myself and the other ladies. As I say, there's only 6 places in a group. I will potentially look at running this again later in the year or next year, but this is just something for July before we go into the school holidays and I take a little bit of time off in August. If that speaks to you, just drop me a message on social media or at jenny@jennymc.com, jennymc.com, and we'll get you a place on the VIP day. Today I wanted to talk about the ebbs and flow of life, and of course how that impacts our relationship with food. First of all, let's start by acknowledging that the path to achieving a healthy weight it's rarely a straight line, is it? It's rarely a linear one. And we will encounter ups and downs along the way, just like the ebbs and flow of life. And sometimes we're feeling really motivated, we're focused, we've got our head in the game, and other times we face challenges that trigger our emotional eating. It derails our progress. Weight loss is about being able to adapt and embrace adapting to whatever situations happen, whatever is thrown in our way. And I think it's also important to acknowledge that the way we eat changes in different seasons of our lives. So we've not only got the day-to-day obstacles that are thrown at us as we go through life, but when I look back over my journey, I ate very, very differently first of all, when I first lost weight, because I was super conscious and it was like, I've got to stay on top of this. And then the further away I got from that initial weight loss, I think the more relaxed and probably a little bit lapsadaisy, if you like. Is that a term? I got with food. So I started pushing the boundaries a little bit more. And then I was single, so that seemed to become quite easy. And the motivation was I wanted to stay feeling and looking good. I wanted to meet another partner. So I was, again, super conscious about my food choices, but also being single, there was not so much food in the house, if you like. There wasn't a family to feed. There wasn't somebody doing a lot of cooking. It was just like, oh, I need to eat to live at the moment. So things really changed. And that's not always the case, because I've had other times in my life where previously, before I dealt with my food stuff, I was single and I was eating my emotions and my loneliness. So I'm not saying that's always the same, but I'm just reflecting on how things change. And then when you meet a partner, there's often a lot of eating together and socializing together. So that affects our relationship with food. And then if you have a family, again, it changes. There's different types of food in the house. You might fall into picking up children's leftovers. You might fall into having a snack cupboard with sweet treats in. I don't like using the word treats, but you know where I'm going with this. So I just want you to acknowledge that. And also, depending on your work situation, because you may work or have worked in offices where there's always somebody bringing in food, cakes, biscuits, it's someone's birthday, or you may have transitioned to working at home and found that a challenge because you're nearer the kitchen or you're working in the kitchen. I'm just thinking also you may work out on the road if you're driving a lot and you're finding that you stop at services, at garages, and there's not always the choices there to make healthy, nourishing choices for your body. So we have to be adaptable as we navigate our way through life. And the other thing is sometimes you're just not in the headspace to deal with it. Now, the last 12 months for me have been probably, I would say, the most off-road I've been. I don't know, off-road I've been since, I'm laughing at myself now, since I lost weight back in 2004, 2005. I decided to stop weighing myself, probably coming up for 2 years now, and that was a great decision. It really took the pressure off me, and I went down to kind of weighing monthly and slowly let the scales go, and I felt that I had a really good relationship with food and a good kind of handle on holding my weight steady. But then last summer we went on holiday. We came back, life was really busy. I was building my business and we had another holiday booked. We had a 2-week holiday in Florida that we should have travelled before the pandemic. So we also had that holiday to take. Going to America, I always find the food and, everything is different there, and you want to try all the delicious, insanely high calorie food. So that threw me a little bit. And because I wasn't coming home and weighing myself, I was coming home and thinking, okay, I'll just pull it back. I'll just line my relationship with food again. I'll get back to normal. But I think I was discounting that with holiday after holiday, and also the stresses of building a business and continuing to grow my business, it was all having an impact that I hadn't really noticed. And then when I did notice, which was probably around Christmas time, I had that old voice coming back saying, well, let's worry about it in January. It's Christmas. You've had holidays. You've had a lot going on. It's fine. And it's taken me probably until a couple of months ago to really get back in flow with my relationship with food. And also to own the fact that I was gaining weight through this time. But because I wasn't weighing, I was ignoring it. And I don't want to backtrack on what I've said before about moving away from the scales, because I actually think moving away from the scales is still the best thing I've ever done. But maybe it's also allowed me to be a little bit more free and allow my crooked thoughts to creep in, if you like. Allow me to kid myself that I'm eating well when I know, if deep down, honestly, there have been food choices over before the last few months, but over those months I've talked about that were not really aligned to my new 2.0 version of self. And I don't think that was helping me in any area of my life, if I'm honest, because deep down I knew that I was making lots of choices that weren't healthy for my body, following holidays, and I was feeling rubbish about myself. And obviously, when you feel that way about yourself, it has a ripple effect on your life. It ripples into your business, into your relationships, into how you're feeling about yourself, whether you want to go swimming, whether you want to go out for that meal with the friends you haven't seen for a while. Again, the ebbs and flow of life, it's just part of life. And we can at that point just go back into that old thinking of, this is really hard, I don't want to do this, maybe I'm okay as I am. Or we can go, okay, well, life's been difficult and I've had lots of fun as well. I've had lots of beautiful time with my family and I've eaten lots of food that I probably didn't need to eat. But that is okay. I'm not going to feel guilty. I'm not going to berate myself about that. I am going to take back the control. I am going to just be compassionate with myself and realign my relationship with food. Now, when we're doing this, I think it's really, really important to, first of all, focus on what you can do and what you want to do, because sometimes you're not actually ready to tackle it. So then it might be a case of, okay, I notice what's going on here. I don't feel that I've got my head around that. I don't feel I've got the head space to deal with that. But what can I do just to level out, if you like? Because I think quite often when we are waiting to start something, when we are waiting to realign our relationship with food, we end up eating another stone because we are just in that cycle of, well, I'm going to do something about it after Christmas. I'm going to do something about it after Easter. I'm going to do something after my holiday. So it's like trying to level out and think, actually, let's just focus on just eating healthy, even if it's not, I'm ready to tackle my weight loss yet. And watch out for the extreme thinking, because I noticed that I was doing things like, right, that's it. I am never eating crisps again. If you've listened to my other podcasts or any of my lives, you'll know that crisps is a big weakness of mine. And I went through a stage of, that's it, I'm never going to eat crisps again. And whilst, yes, it would be lovely to think that I could live my life without eating crisps, right now, at this stage in my life, I don't really want to. It's not something that feels so desperate that I'm never gonna, I'm gonna completely give them up. So I've got to be realistic with myself and think, well, how do I want to include crisps in my life? And also, if you struggle with things like binge eating, one of the worst things you can do is just eradicate food and say, I'm not allowed to eat that, I'm never eating it again. Because all that happens is, at some point, it gets so difficult to abstain from that food that you crash and then you go and eat it and then you can't stop eating it and you're in that cycle again, and then you feel that shame and guilt and beat yourself up. So watch out for your extreme thinking about giving up certain food groups. Obviously, if you want to do that, that's absolutely fine, but quite often it comes from a place of feeling like we should. And while we're on the extreme thinking, watch out for jumping on the latest fads like protein bars or protein drinks and thinking, oh, right, well, if I have one of those every day, then that means I am nourishing my body. That means I am doing something towards my relationship with food. Now, I'm not saying don't have those things, but what I'm saying is sometimes we fool ourselves that we're doing that. And what happens is that just becomes an add-on to everything we normally eat because we're not making it part of our program, part of our food framework. So all of a sudden, you're having an extra couple of 100 calories in a protein drink or a protein bar, thinking that that's what you need to do because you need to increase your protein, yet you're just adding that on to your normal daily intake. So watch out for getting hooked into things like that and thinking that you are doing helpful things for your relationship with food when you step back, you're not. So going back again to the ebbs and flow of life, what I want you to think about is that every stumble can teach us something about ourselves. and about what triggers us. So looking back, I've recognised now, okay, when I go on holiday and I have several holidays together, I need to be on top of that. I need to think about that when it comes to my relationship with food. And maybe sometimes I still need help. I still need support. As silly as it sounds, I even thought at one point about working through my own food freedom program, because I noticed some of the habits that were creeping in, just in terms of eating mindfully, in terms of tuning in and honouring your hunger, the difference between the physical hunger and the emotional hunger, and just revisiting that for myself to help me remind myself of everything that I have learned over the years that maybe just in those few months I stopped implementing. I'd got a little bit lost. I was so ingrained in what else I was doing that I lost my ability to manage my relationship with food. And finally, again, it is about finding what works for you, because what works for me may not work for you, and what worked for you last year may not be right for you right now, because things change. Learn to adapt, learn to go with the flow of life, and work out what it is you need. So if you're in a place where you're just struggling right now, just reflect on the last year. What's been going on for you? What's been going on with your relationship with food while life has been happening, while you have been dealing with whatever you've been dealing with? Remember, always reflect with compassion and without judgment. And then work out how you would like to move forward with your relationship with food, and where to start, and what support you might need. They're just some of my thoughts today on the ebbs and flow of life in terms of our relationship with food. I hope you found that helpful. As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please feel free to contact me, drop me a message, and please do rate and share the podcast. So you can leave a review on Apple Podcasts, you can write a comment on YouTube, and you can share this, whether this is on social media, whether it is sending a link to a friend. Please do share. The more people that listen, the more people that rate and subscribe to the podcast, then the more, I was going to say eyes it gets, but the more ears it gets, the more people listen, and the more people I can help to improve their relationship with food and reach food freedom. So have a great day, guys. Don't forget, if you would like more information on the VIP day, drop me a message and I'll send that over. Don't leave it too long, because that is next month and the places are limited. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.